Yesterday's conspiracy theories, tomorrow's headlines. Most are still asleep and I ain't talking about no bedtime. The truth is not a Google search, you need to get your head right. The Greek goddess of illusion was called Media I'm not a coincidence theorist, I look for thread lines. Smashing every deadline, no longer smashing red wine. Though I can hear the bells chime, it feels like the end times. That probably should have been smashed on red wine. But the carnal mind is foolish, obey and end up ghoulish. Don't get used by instinct, take control and learn to use it. Make a load of earnest music, earn a few quid, learn a few tricks. Sure, the truth is persecuted, this whole world is pure abusive. Know a bit about everything and everything about nothing. Figured out my noggin while you picture out shopping. You sit about watching while I dish it out, stop it. I don't mean to sound cocky, I'm not even proud of it. It's a second nature to me, just to be this out honest. I don't even need to sound honest, never been about profit. Everything but out on it, you can bet your house on it. Doubt I'll be out for the count when the sounds, and I'm down for the beat, no beat down. I mean, how long's it been? Help me out. I've been the only one who's held me down. All in the mind, hell freeze now. Still sick with it, healthy how? Few bars down and the world freaked out. I don't reach out, I seek out to speak out. I'ma recount the reasons they beat out. I'm not away, no way. I have seen the way. Yeah. Seek, speak, repeat. There's no way.
Hello, welcome everyone. Good evening. This is the Papa Nine Divine Ponds podcast. I'm your host, Joseph Daniel Pena, and it is May 2023, 9 days away from my birthday. I'm lit, I'm living, and you know who else is? Big B from Big B Extracts, Brian Cassidy, my boy. Hey, we are going to grab a nice conversation, a little bit about his life, his journey, the extracts he got going on, and his fabulous music, DJing, co-host. Hey, you know what, Brian Cassidy, let's just bring you on. Hey, man, how's it going?
Good, brother. How you doing, man?
I'm doing amazing, man. It's awesome. Hey, thank you, man. Hey, I appreciate that. You're the first person, so I'll remember this one. I'm about to be 30, dude. And I feel like my life is about to just hit a whole new level. Like I'm about to just really understand everything and really start maturing. I've been doing this podcast, and I want to create a business. I feel like in my 30s, this is where it's at. Like this is where all that entrepreneurship and business making, company making, and you are doing it yourself. You're a little bit of a pioneer right now, man. I really see what you're doing, and I appreciate it because you're local. You're just probably within a local 60 miles with me. And I look at this and I want to be able to have this type of operation myself. I have a cannabis company, and eventually I want to turn this into a cannabis brand and just start doing big things, man. Let's go ahead and talk about this. Hey, so let's give my viewers a little bit of a update on who you are and where you came from.
I've been doing cannabis for like 30 plus years. I'm 50 years old now, and I've always done other things, but I always was under the impression that cannabis was holding me back. I couldn't get the serious job because you have to drug test. I couldn't do this because I couldn't, drug test this, or people just assume if you smoke cannabis, then you're a stupid person or you're going to make bad decisions. And it's no different than drinking or anything, coffee, cigarettes. If you don't abuse it, you can use it correctly and healthy. And I just allowed myself to fall into that trap that I was a lesser person because I smoked cannabis. And it's been around for 4,000 years, helping people medicinally, helping people medically. I mean, come on. Right now, people are taking it with CBDs and high CBD strains for seizures, and it's working, and there's medical proof that it's working. So, I think that just like anything, if someone finds a reason not to like it, they don't have to know why they don't like it or the truth about it or the facts about it. Someone told them not to like it, so they don't like it. And I'm here to change that about cannabis.
I appreciate that because that's a huge problem. All these other drugs that everybody are on, it's being washed away though. Actually, the studies are being shown opioid users are getting away from their drugs. Probably meth users getting away from their drugs. Tobacco users are getting away from those drugs. I'm pretty sure in some cases, it liquor users in some demographic probably heightening, going down. Cannabis use is heightening. It's healing everything. I actually just seen a New Mexico article today. I was just about to pull up. Probably do that later about insomnia users actually now getting a pass for medical cannabis. So it's a little bit of everywhere, right? All types of people, the people who want to be amped up, jacked up, but also the people who are trying to be like really depressed. They're getting away from those depressing drugs and alcoholic states and toxifications and going back to the natural plant. It's definitely been recorded prominently in the last 4,000 years. We have a lot of texts, and there's some small texts that say it goes back even 10,000 years. And it's a really delicate plant. The way I see it is that it's one of those things that gets inside of a body and changes us because of how intricate it is, how evolutionary the plant is. And a lot of people can't handle that, like evolution, right? They want to just stick in their own like box mindset. And that's where all that marijuana mania came from over the last 100 years that have
But it's
made.
such a small group of people. Imagine how many doctors and how many lawyers and how many even police officers smoke, because they do. But it is so vilified they can't say anything. So the only people that do say anything are the ones who have an agenda, and that's to vilify the people, not necessarily cannabis, because they don't care about cannabis, because it doesn't affect them. But there's certain groups of people that are more likely to imbibe, and they want to oppress them and control them. And that's how they do it, by saying, well, cannabis is bad, and if you do cannabis, you must be a bad person.
It's definitely one of those things that you see in our medical industry, our health and food, with the food industry, right? So it's a little bit of everything where they want to control it. They want to go ahead and limit what our true products are. Like, 100 years ago, 200 years ago, when we went to pharmaceutical stores, there wasn't these pills or anything. You know what you found on the shelf? You found cannabis. You found like different type of plant medicines. Some places even carried mushrooms, and just a whole bunch of entheogens, natural substances that would heal you and fix your, psychological issues, your health issues, spiritual issues. Some people, even use this as like a saint, like a very blessed plant where, people who use it, they're more protected. They have a lighter life, a lovelier life, and happier life. And then the people who use those dark substances, that which we've seen flooded over the last 100 years, right? As cannabis had that war, all those dark substances, they make people lose it. They,
And
very
who makes
evil.
those, man? Are they grown out of the earth? Who's making those pills? Who's making
Oh,
those
yeah,
drugs?
it's definitely the same money funders, the bankers and the college elites, these royal families who want to go ahead and keep us enslaved in a box mindset. And yeah, it's not even natural substances. These things are half petrol based, half oil based. They're filled up with so much junk. Yeah, junk and oil, plastic, and stuff that you just don't want to know. But hey, man,
I do hydrocarbons. My thing is hash. I love smoking hash. I love making hash, and I'm talking all kinds of hash. I'm talking about Lebanese hash from 4,000 years ago. I'm talking about Moroccan finger hash that these guys are making. I like all hash, and it is a concentrate, so it's a stronger bang for your buck. And what they're finding, we are having an opioid epidemic right now, man. People are dying every day from overdoses fentanyl. And they're proving that large, heavy doses of cannabis will knock these guys out basically for a period of time until they can get off of the heroin. And then guess what? Most of them just prefer to smoke after that from a concentrate.
Yeah, honestly, these hash makers are blessed. God bless you, man. Look, so the hash makers that I've been researching over the last thousand years, these guys are like the shamans, the healers of their tribe, right? And it even goes a little bit deeper, where around 100, 200 years ago, probably like 150 years, there was a very famous mystic named P.B. Randolph. For everyone, Google that, and he is a hash user, but he was also a studier of the spiritual arts and ancient history, theologian, and the things that he uncovered and recorded was that these hash users, they constantly see angelic, and they have angelic states, heavenly states. They have what he would say is like the protection of like, heaven, right? When we even look back at the Vedic texts, they literally say that cannabis and hemp is a guardian angel plant. We know that some native tribes and some of these tribes out here believe that Earth itself is a host to like a guardian, and that some of these energies that lie within nature are spirits themselves. So when we look at cannabis, it's very spiritual. And these hash makers like you, buddy, because like I'll be honest, I work with a hash maker too, one of my cousins, one of my family, and like, man, yeah, like things are blessed. Like we definitely feel a different light, right? And I haven't really tried some of that Moroccan hash, but that sounds great, man. Hey, can I have you move your camera just a little bit to the left? No, other way. Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Okay, yeah, man. I haven't tried that Moroccan hash, the Lebanese hash, but that takes quite some time. You see those people out there, they're in a peaceful state, just doing that thing all day, making hash all day, and they're healthy. They're like they're sharp in the mind, and they know what life's about, right? They're not like confused and depressed and sad. No, like you look at the people who are denying cannabis, they're depressed. They're fighting anger all the time. But us, oh man, that's not us. So let's go ahead and talk about these this extracts, man. When's the first time you ever smoked weed? Like, me was like 16 years old, buddy.
I think 14. How old are you in 8th grade?
8th grade. Maybe 14-ish, yeah.
Yeah, I was walking to elementary school in Santa Ana, California, and this dude is a lifelong homeboy now, but this kid was sitting in his front yard. I had no idea who he was. His name is Jeff Goodwin. He's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm going to school." And he's like, "Why?" I never thought about it. I was like, "I don't know. You're supposed to go to school." And he's like, "You want to drink a beer?" And I was like, "That's how he lured me in." And I was like, "All right, we'll drink a beer." So we split this beer, and then he's like, "You ever smoke weed?" And I was like, "No." And he's like, "Do you want to try it?" And I was like, "Okay." And we rolled a joint out of notebook paper, and we smoked this thing, and it was so harsh, and I got so high. And then that dude was my friend. We started hanging out a lot. It was like, "Hey, let's smoke some weed." And that was it. I fell in love with it. And it's been a double-edged sword because it's been such a blessing. It paid for my house. It helped send my kid to college. It's been a blessing. And it's also been, like I said, you can't really get the best job in the world because drug testing, things are starting to change, fortunately. So we're not going to have that problem. And that's, stigma hopefully goes away.
Yeah, I would say that America is definitely filled with a whole bunch of easy way to say it, dark vibes, right? Dark spirits, and these dark spirits do not like cannabis users. It seems like some of the I don't know how to say it. Maybe even some of the programming, right? The dark spiritual programming that we've seen from our government itself. It stuck within people, and I'm glad things are changing. I really have found a beautiful life with this. I'm able to wake up early, go out with my dogs, and grow food, go back in nature and be connected. Whereas like before I was on cannabis, I just wanted to be indoors all day on my computer and, be inside like a zombie, literally. Cannabis helped free me and break me free, make me go
that's
and
opposite
see
of what
life, man.
everyone says. Everyone says if you smoke, you're just going to be in the house from the computer. What's going on with that?
Well, that's all the propaganda. That's all the Rockefeller Institution propaganda to fight against the holistic medicine. And, well, that's just something that me and you, have gone over. We've elevated, we've raised our vibration, some would say, in a meditational state with this cannabis, and really been able to break free of that matrix, man. And let's really figure out, like, so when'd you start really working with cannabis? Like, how long ago was it that you figure out in your mind, like, this might actually be something that I want in my livelihood?
Probably when I was 27. I moved from California to Spokane. And in California, I had grown a couple of plants outside, just pop a seed in the ground and hope it's a girl. And you're happy when it is. But when I went to Spokane, I went to tomato stores. There was no hydroponic stores then. And I started researching on how to grow indoors. And I did a really terrible 30 light operation where I got like probably 3 pounds harvest. And I had a friend who was a DJ who would supply me with pounds when I didn't have, when I would run out. So for like 2 years, this guy was my friend. He taught me how to golf. I golf still today. He was all about fine dining and dressing. He would always bring me shirts and stuff. My wife thought he was hitting on me, but he just wanted me to be able to go where he wanted to go looking good. I couldn't go looking like I look. You know what I mean?
That's right.
One day he said, "Hey, man, I'm going to show you something, but you have to swear to God you'll never tell anybody." And I said, "Man, okay." And he opened the door, and it was like 1,000,000 watts of light just blasting through. And homeboy had been growing the whole time, never told me anything, right? And he said, "I see," and he'd been in my grow 30, 40 times, right? Never said anything. He said, "Man, I'm going to help you out. We're going to change a couple things in your room and get you growing better. I'm going to get you on a better plan. And you got to give me half of the first room, and then you can keep all this gear." And I was like, "Man, I don't know, man." I said, "I'm getting 3.5 pounds of harvest." And my wife, she won't, she'd be like, "Nah, if I tell her we're going to split that." So he said, "All right, after 5 pounds, everything after that we split, and you can keep all this gear." So I was like, "Hell yeah." And he went in my room and he started pulling one thing out, and he's trying to reassure me, "Hey, your stuff is good." And then the next thing and the next thing, pretty much emptied the room out of everything I had in there. He redoes this room, shows me a good feeding plan, how chemicals work, because I didn't know anything about macro and micronutrients, and people need to know that. Mycelium, man, mushrooms, baby. Get some mushrooms working for you.
Yeah, those heal the soil.
Yeah, heal the soil. So I went from 3.5 pounds of harvest, man, to 30 pounds, right?
Ooh, that's a big bonus.
In better weed. And I was like, "Oh." So me and my wife are swimming, and pretty soon I can't see her. And I just go, "Oh my God, I'm going to go to jail." And she said, "Do you think the cops are here?" And I was like, "No, I don't think I can sell this much weed." I was selling like 2 pounds a month. That's like 30 pounds. That's half a year's worth of getting rid of shit.
Yeah, honestly, from 2 pounds to 30 pounds, that's a big jump. You really don't know what to do.
That's when it changed, though, because I was working. I had a job then. I was working as a truck driver. But then I said, "Fuck driving a truck." And I got fat because I went out to eat for breakfast, and I went out to eat for lunch, and I went out to eat for dinner, and I went out and got ice cream afterwards. And I think if I would have been educated, if I would have been around the correct people that told me to invest that money or what to invest in and how to, because I blew so much money, man. And it was like the golden age in Washington for cannabis, right around 92, man. You could get $3,000 for a pound, just wholesale. So now
what's that now?
Like 1,200
for 12,000 a pound?
No, 1,200 a pound.
Oh, 12. Oh, my bad. 12. Yeah, I had that math wrong.
3,000 to 3,500, and now you get 12, maybe if it's fire. And in the legal market, I'm in the legal market now. Big B Cannabis is a I-502. I get like $3.75 a gram wholesale for oil, for the firest oil you've ever had. 11% terps, 90% THC, and I'm getting $3.50 a gram. In the black market, back in the 90s, I sold stuff that was like very dark and very goopy, and I got $25 a gram, and it didn't matter if it was crumble, shatter, or what. I got $25 a gram all day long, you know. So it was a huge difference, the black market and this legal market. And then on top of that, they tax the shit out of you, and then they regulate the fuck out of you. So it's like, we're gonna watch you, we're gonna tax you, and you know, we're gonna regulate you.
You know, but it's one of those things where we know that we're paying it forward. I feel that, man. The prices and the way business has gone, it's definitely changed because it's so universal now. It's in everybody's households. You know, grannies are growing it. Your uncles are growing it. Your cousins are growing it. Your little nephews are growing it, and you know, everybody is really at it, right? You know, you see it in Safeway. It's really everywhere, and that's a good thing though, because as we mentioned earlier, a lot of our friends and family are now, you know, going to it instead of their pills, instead of their alcohol, instead of their opiates. And you know, I just want to quickly say, Chad Smith podcast, yo, happy Friday, glad to see you here, buddy. He said amen to the plant, and he said my local government announced this week that they will no longer be testing city employees for cannabis use on their drug test. My company did the same thing this year. Congrats, man. He's out there in Michigan, and yeah, Washington State actually just passed a law. Did you see that just recently?
Yeah,
I think it was a couple months ago. Yeah, so cannabis is completely allowed in our drug use. I mean, I'm sure that for like motor vehicle operators and big time, you know, machine operators, I don't think that you can still use it.
I still think that's hypocritical, though. I mean, you're saying that everyone who smokes cannabis is not responsible as any knucklehead that drinks alcohol, because I can drink on a Friday, drink Saturday, drink Sunday, and then not drink on Monday and go to work, and they're not testing me for alcohol. I could smoke a joint 2 weeks ago with my brother at his birthday party, not really smoke weed that often, and fail a drug test and lose my job. So if I'm a driver, don't smoke weed while you're driving, or you'll get fired and thrown in jail. I mean, I think that we do it. We marginalize ourselves and we push ourselves into a corner because they're like, oh, let's go around back in the corner and smoke so we don't make nobody in the family upset, when your uncle's all shit-faced talking crap and trying to fight everybody, and you're trying to be the cool one in the room. You just need to be loud and light that bitch up and be like, Grandma, you want some of this?
Yeah, you know, I don't think that it's right that machine operators get that type of testing, because yeah, like while you're on the job, you shouldn't be smoking. But if you're off the job, like that's all your right. And I do see,
right? I got rights.
I do see that there is a technology though, where I think those sheriffs were trying to create this cannabis breathalyzer. I'm not sure if it passed yet, but they were getting close. They had some kinks with it, and it was hilarious, right? That but those type of things should be just like they should be used, just like what is a DUI. They have a breathalyzer there for people who are making sure that they can start their engine without
they can't. They say that there's not a good way to test for people that are smoking immediately, and there is. A mouth swab only shows if you've done it in like the last 2 hours or something like that. So it's out there. They just don't care to put it on the street so they can use their judgment. And I got a lot of family members that are police officers, and I still don't think that any of them have good judgment. I mean, if they had good judgment, they would have better jobs, because anybody that says I'm a good guy, even though everybody I work with is bad, but you don't tell on them and you allow them to be bad, then you're bad too, brother. So I mean, I don't disrespect them and I don't have a problem with them, but they're not on the up and up. It's a gang, and they're here to imprison us because it's a pay-for-profit prison system.
And yeah, you got that on the head, man. Well, let's jump real quick. Let's go ahead and talk about your Big B extracts, boss. Let my viewers know what you got going on. When did you first start that, and what type of strains do you work with?
Big B extracts is what I called my black market extract. I had a lab built in my garage, and about 9 years ago, I went into the legal market, and I had been trying to get a license or do my own thing, and it's just a lot of shady people, and it's costly to do it and stuff. So I've been working for Common Roots and Green Rush for the last 7 years, just getting ready, building some connections, getting understanding of how the legal market works. And I finally got an opportunity to open my own lab again. So we're back. And I have strain specifics that I like to get, but I'm going to be doing toll runs and processing runs, and then purchasing bio when I get to that point. But my favorite is GMO or Obama Kush is what I want.
Right. I actually smoked those Common Roots, that hash. I think it was a year ago or two. Yeah, dude, that stuff is killer. That's actually one of my favorite hashes. That and the Pacific Northwest Roots. So Common Roots and the Pacific Northwest Roots. Those guys run some good ones too. So I would always just go between both of y'all, and that stuff was definitely on a different level. I know the Green Rush stuff back like 3 years ago. I would get a little bit here and there. It was pretty nice, but that Common Roots definitely took it to a whole other level. I had no idea you were the extract maker, man. When did you really get into hash? When did you find that niche with hash? Because it took me a minute, to really understand it. I was smoking joints, pipes, bongs, a little bit of everything, blunts, tried dabs, tried all types of oils, edibles, but then it took me a couple of years to really appreciate hash. And how was it for you?
I've always loved hash. And I was in the Tri-Cities. I was on the radio in the Tri-Cities, and I was always messing around. So I bought a hydroponic store because I was growing 15 medical plants in my garage, and I was rocking. I bought Victory Gardens hydroponics, and what's up? And I started growing hard, and I started meeting a lot of people that were growing hard because they came into the store to buy chemicals. And pretty soon I wasn't the best grower that I knew anymore. I was like the 12th best grower that I knew. I was like, better up my game. And right about that time, some people came through from California with some BHO, and I had never seen BHO before. I thought they were smoking hard drugs, and I kicked the table over, man. And they're like, "What's wrong with you?" And I was like, "What's wrong with you guys?" And they're like, "This is hash." And I was like, "No way." And it was green, and it was gooey, and it was like black. And
I thought it was some heroin or something. Yeah, I've had the same experience with my parents, where when they first see me smoking this extract, like, "What is this? What are you doing?" They're like, "You over here have a torch and stuff? What is that?"
Right.
All that.
But I didn't know how to do it, and they heated a piece of Pyrex up red hot and told me to take a dab. So I hit this thing, and I start coughing so hard I'm crying. Boogers are coming out of my nose. I'm like in the gas chamber in the Army, man. I'm just sweating it out, and I can't catch my breath. So I go to the front of the store, and I drink some water. I can't catch my breath. I live 2 blocks away, so I drive to the house. I got the fan on me. I'm like, "Oh, shit." And my wife comes around. "Oh, my God, are you okay?" And I was like, "The boys have some new hash." And she switched up.
Ever.
Go call them, see if we can get some of that right now. No more, "Are you okay?" So I call my own shop, right? And I'm like, hey, man, you think I could get some of that hash? And he's like, who's this? And I said, it's me, Big B. And he's like, Big B, aren't you here, brother? And everyone just started laughing. But that night I was making BHO, open blast BHO. And then after doing that for probably a couple months, like I told you, there were probably 12 friends of mine that grew better weed than me. And some of those are in the 502 now. I won't mention them because I don't think, that's cool unless they told me it was cool. But they're in the Tri-Cities. Any good growers out of the Tri-Cities, they're my homies. So I was like, these guys are growing better than me. I'm going to go to Portland to Sub-Zero Scientific, and I'm going to learn how to do a closed loop. So I went to Portland every weekend. He had these Sub-Zero Saturdays where he would give you these classes, and I saved up, 17 G's, and I bought an extractor, and then I got half of everybody's harvest, and I didn't have to grow no more. And I was the king for a little while. And then everybody started making rosin and other things. But for a minute, man, it was good.
That sounds awesome right there. Yeah, I need to go ahead and get myself a big machine. That's something that I've really been seeing is that, like, when I talk with these people, people around, one of my friends, my locals, man, my dog is at my freaking leg. They're really interested. Like, how do you make it? What type of machine do you use? Could we work with you and all that? Could we, blah, 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 take it over and you? I'm like, I'm thinking ahead, like now in my 30s. Please, dogs, please relax. Please, they're over here barking at each other. Yeah, like in my 30s, I'm looking at this like I can really make a business the way that it's going. Now over the next 10 years, it's going to bloom to the point where it probably will be in everybody's households again. Maybe not everybody, but like 3 out of 4 people, it's going to be in people's households some way, somehow.
It'll be as common as someone having a bottle of wine, so when a guest comes over, they can offer them a glass of wine.
Yeah. Speaking of wine, cheers. I just got a new winery job, and they sent me home with so much wine. And first day, I was like, this is a blessing. I was like, I cannot complain. I love you guys. I'm gonna come here every day early. What do you guys? Whatever you guys need me to do, I'm doing it. So hey, hold on. So sweetly morbid. Oh, sorry, not quickly morbid. Sweetly morbid bear. She said 509 guest Chad. Hey, how you doing? And she says, I remember the 90s weed. Washington was the best back then and the prettiest, stickiest, stoniest weed. Yeah, we had some amazing weed. I heard in the 90s. People would have come from all over the states, specifically to come to Seattle, kick it with the Supersonics, probably a little bit of MC Hammer and smoke out,
You were getting a lot of BC bud back then. You were getting a lot of weed from Vancouver, some indoor or hoop house stuff. So yeah, that was good times.
Yeah, she also says she probably smoked your weed. And she puts a laughing face. Hopefully, awesome. That'd be cool.
I don't. My boss, the owner of the company, Mark, does the growing for Green Roots or Green Rush and Common Roots. We have a big outdoor, and I extract that. If you get a chance to smoke Green Rush flower, homie grows some good flower. I have to get it.
I need to try some of your stuff, man. I'll be honest. I would love to. That'd be a blessing. My boy Chad Smith right here. He asks, can we go over the basics? What is hash? How is it different than other extracts? Well, hash is a full spectrum concentrate. You will get the CBDs, you will get the terpenes, whereas some of these other products that we just see, like butane oil, they strip away a lot of the actual plant matter. And even when you smoke flower, you're still not getting like the full spectrum benefit, like a highly concentrate of the full spectrum benefit, which is what hash is. It's a high concentrate form. You break down an ounce of flower and you turn it into maybe an eighth of rosin, an eighth of hash. And really, though, that small amount of hash is far more concentrated, so you don't have to spend so much time smoking so much weed. You can take a nice globber of hash, and then you'll get 4 times the high and 4 times the benefit, since you're pressing at such a high heat too. It kind of pulls out most of the plant matter that you don't get from smoking it, which is where the terpenes and the cannabinoids come in, and those give you huge medical benefits. And as I mentioned earlier, through PB Randolph and his work and many others, spiritualists, this is a blessed thing too. Where, like, you know, when I first really started understanding the power of extracts, there was this one time where it was late night, like, 10, 12ish. Me and my boys were out there kicking it, dabbing it up, and they wanted to test me. They're like, "What, you think you can smoke, huh?" I was like, "Of course, man. What you shit? Put it on." And they threw down, like, I think, I don't even remember, man. Maybe a couple grams worth of dabs all in one little piece, and I took the fat hit. I don't even know. It just kept going. Like, it literally, I couldn't stop remembering how to, like, blow out the smoke and breathe. I was like, this is ridiculous. It was just like a time loop. I was like, all right, man, this is getting too much. I feel like my body and my spirit are two different things right now. And within a couple of minutes, I literally felt like I was, oh man, my dogs. Give me 1 second.
Or just follow you.
Good.
You can lock up yourself. Yeah. And turn all this off. But what about my phone? Is your hotspot?
All right. Sorry about that. Yeah, within a few minutes, I felt myself, like, elevate into this higher place, right? But then I felt like the Star Wars Force, where I was able to, like, really feel everything out. I felt more connected. Like, I mean, literally, the physical part of me felt way more connected to the earth. I was like, I felt kind of like symbiotic, right? I look up into the sky and I start seeing all these different stars that I never really seen before. Like, I actually seen more visuals, and I started understanding it. I was like, there must be something great about this, because I went home and I felt perfect. I felt literally like the best I've ever felt. Like, there was no ailments in my body. Like, I vibrated out of ailments in my body, like I was on such a higher plane that everything else just diminished. In the morning I wake up and I'm like, I feel like a new person. And I think it was ever since then, like, I really respected concentrates and how powerful they were. I have contacts and, like, a little bit of glaucoma, and like, what it did for my eyes was amazing, because there'll be times where I would always before I really started dabbling in concentrates and even cannabis, I felt a little bit down. My eyes wouldn't be working as proper, like, I wouldn't feel healthy. But no, after the cannabis, after the hash, I felt at my healthiest. And that it kind of goes in a lot of different ways, man. So you see, Chad Smith, you see how hash is this full spectrum plant where you don't just get high, you get healed, which differs from the actual bud. When you smoke bud, when you smoke the flower, just like without the hash, you don't really get the same benefit. You just kind of get high, mentally high, psychedelic high. People love to incorporate THC with flower, because that's the only thing that you really get, and that is a psychedelic compound. So you really actually only get the mental, like, waves, right? And Brian, what can you say about hash? Like, I know I missed a few things, but tell my friend about hash.
Hash is just the trichomes. You're just knocking the trichomes off of the plant matter, so you're getting the active ingredient that you're looking for, and it's back in the thousands of years ago, it was easier to store, it was easier to carry around if it was turned into a hash. So that's one of the reasons. And they didn't really smoke it, they ate it. So when they would make it, they would turn it into a hash so they could get a more concentrated effect from it. But there are several different kinds of hash. I mean,
yeah,
my extracts are hydrocarbons, so I'm using propane and butane and things like that. Where for rosin hash or for bubble hash, you're just using ice and water. But there's sift hash, there's finger hash, there's all kinds of different hashes, and there's different processes. That's what makes all the difference in the world, is how you process it and then how you finish processing it. Right now, it seems to be all the rage to smoke rosin, and because I make a hydrocarbon extract, people are like, "Oh, that's got to be bad for you because Jazzy Jeff, the king of the food court, said so." And it's like, okay, he wears Nikes, he must be telling the truth. But the fact of the matter is that rosin is just bubble hash that's being squished with low temperatures to create a rosin. So I love all hash, and I think it's hilarious when people are like, pick one particular kind of hash to love. Like, I only smoke distillate, and it's like, that's garbage, and you should never smoke that. Smoke any of the other hashes that they got going for you. But yeah, I make you can make different things. Like from a hydrocarbon extracts, I can make shatters, and I can make crumbles and butters and batters, and I can make diamonds and sauce, and I can make THCA, and I could decarb them and make carts out of them. So I can do a wide variety of things with the same pour. So if I poured off run into 10 different jars, I could make each of those jars from that same exact run a total different texture or feel of extracts. So it's just in the post-processing.
And what type of strains do you run for hash? Because I know that, like, every strain's a little bit different, and how we extract them. Some work better with bubble hash, some work better with rosin, some work better with crumble. And what do you got for, like, what's your favorite? You like indica sativas? You like the Afghanica, old school
we do
Afghan?
a lot of work for Top Shelf, and he has a high sativa, and they're very citrusy, and those make some great shatter. And I don't know if it's just his strains, but some strains I try to make shatter out of it, and it just crumbles out, and I end up having to make a batter out of it, or a crumble or a wax out of it. I can't get it to stabilize. So it is strain specific, but I just work with so many different strains. I just try it with everything, and then sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. Most of the time it does, but we have like exotic strains. Everybody wants exotic strains, and sometimes they're really hard to work with, man, and they really don't want to do anything for you.
Yeah, these days, a lot of people are going for the exotic names, definitely. And I love my old school strains, but some of these exotic cool things are cool. The old school strains, like, we got a little bit of the skunks, some cheeses. I definitely appreciate both sides of it. I don't really differ too much. I do love my sativas. Please, dog, get away from my feet. I do love my sativas though, and the indicas, man, they're just so heavy these days. But it's very popular, and I didn't know that Top Shelf runs mainly sativa. But let's go ahead and spin this real quick, man. You had mentioned a little bit. I just want to cover this for all my viewers. You had mentioned that you worked with the radio. Can we talk about that? Like,
Yeah.
What did you do? You were a radio host, and how did that go? How was your journey?
I loved it for a while, man. It was the best thing I had ever done. I mean, it was fun. I got to go to a lot of concerts. I got to learn a lot about computers and about broadcasting. It was good, man. I worked in the Tri-Cities. I worked at 98.3 The Key. We were a little tiny 35,000 watt station, and we were often number one, competing with 100,000 watt stations. I I had a good morning show partner, a girl who just finds the love in everything and was a big sweetheart. So it allowed me to be really funny, and she was gullible. So anything I would say, she would believe me. So it was easy for me to be funny. So it was good until it wasn't. The company started selling and selling and selling. So it was like every 3 months we were selling, and every time they would sell the company, someone would get fired. So pretty soon, instead of messing around, like basically for 12 years, I got up in the morning and smoked the fat bowl and just dicked around for 5 hours, and that was my whole day. And then I did some public events, went and met people and shook their hands. I got to go to free concerts and free football games, man. It was a blast. It doesn't pay as much. When people would see me, they would think that oh, you guys must be rich. It doesn't pay that well at all, but the perks are good. And if you can get the only thing is I got right into a morning show, and they're the only ones that make any money really, and they're also the only ones that anyone cares about, because they'll get us shirts and stuff like that for promotions. But it was a blast, man, and I loved it. I loved doing it in the Spokane, and I loved doing it in the Tri-Cities.
The early birds get the worm. Now, like, did you love the music that you were doing? Like, what is your personal music choice? Like, what are you?
I'm a metal guy. I like 80s hair bands and shit. I'm just a dork, but you can't. If you're like, oh, I love this particular kind of music, and I'm gonna really be into that music, and I'm gonna be a DJ so I can play that music, you're really thinning your odds out, man. You have to take, like, say you hate country music, and you're like, man, it hurts my ears to listen to it. If someone says you want a shift on a country station, you're all, well, shit, howdy, how's everybody doing? And you fake it until you make it. Basically, I was on like a top 40, so it was like a stations catering to women in offices. But I would turn that, my sense of humor would just turn that upside down. When I started, we only had 35% male listeners, and by my second year, we were 50-50, and we were climbing in the ratings. So it was a good time.
Yeah, I actually personally, the only music I can't stand is like screamo, grunge. But in my teens, I fell in love with techno because I was listening to the DJs, and I was listening to what they like actually were, listening to. Then they would branch off into all different sounds, right? They would, remix hip hop. They would remix country. They would remix, pop, operas, a little bit of everything. Sometimes rock. I actually do love rock myself, but the techno where you're able to like really really vibe and live with these other types of music. That's when you thrive, because when you shut yourself out, and when you're like, nah, I only like this, you create a thorny path where everybody else who's trying to come in, they're getting hit by thorns, and that's not good. That's why with me and my podcast right here, I incorporate everyone, literally archaeologists, spiritualists, sports people, cannabis people, and I'm allowing a full garden to bloom right here, in the conversation of the 519 Divine Pines, and it's really a blessing, that I'm able to see things like this, and you are too. And when you look at cannabis and you look at where it's going, one of the laws that just got passed recently was now Washington State has legal authority to go ahead and do cross-state shipping. So now you guys can sell to other states legally. So how do you feel about that? Where are you going to, dabble in? Are you cool with hemp, CBD, and getting yourself into like Safeway if you possibly can, and how, maybe other businesses?
Well, the thing about CBDs, man, we have receptors in our bodies, and Americans, all Americans, your grandma, your little sister, everybody got the proper amount of CBD until the war on drugs. And then because of the war on cannabis, they also said, well, hemp looks too much like cannabis, even though it doesn't have active THC, because farmers used to get subsidized to grow hemp because it's such a great product. And then they would take the byproduct and feed it to cows. And then we would drink milk and we would all get our CBD. So I think if people started getting back on CBDs, it would be a lot healthier for us, man.
You know, for me personally, I started taking CBD about 3 years ago, and it's changed my life. I have full sleep now, where back in the day, I used to wake up multiple times a night, and you know, I used to have trouble sleeping at night. And it just, there was a whole bunch of issues that CBD itself fixed. I mean, I smoked weed for 10 years, but what CBD did was completely different. I felt
you gotta mix them both. You gotta have a little bit of both.
Yeah, that's what I've been telling everybody. Everybody who smokes, they're like, you know, I have a problem with this and that. And I'm like, well, do you try CBD? Like, no, not really. I'm like, well, when you mix both, it acts as a powerhouse. You get a little bit of the best both worlds. You get the healing nature and the psychedelic nature. And, you know, your body actually attunes and stabilizes itself, works in harmony. And, well, I mean, what do you think? Like, what, you know, do you have any plans to make extracts? So, you know, in the near future, like edibles, extract edibles, you know, my bad.
Absolutely. With my new lab, I don't have the money for packaging and stuff like that yet. And I have a kitchen. It's the first time I've had a commercial kitchen in the 502. So I'm going to be making gummies, man. I'll send you some pictures when we get off here so you can put them on there so people can see. I'm going to be making gummies. A lot of gummies are going to be hitting the streets.
Hey man, that's a great thing. Like, what type of strains are you working with right now? Do you hold like anything specific like that you love?
I like Drip Station from oh man, I can't even remember what the company is, but a lot, like, I'll tell my homies I like it and they're like, oh, it's bunk or whatever, but I think that they just like talking crap. I like if I can find a lemon OG skunk there, I know it's an older strain. It reminds me of my childhood, so I always try to smoke that. A real Matanuska Thunderfuck, if I can ever get a hold of some of that. I like to get down like that. But I love all of it, man. There's very few that I'm like, I don't think I'll ever smoke that again. You know, I've smoked some hashes that I would probably never smoke again, but not really any flower.
Yeah, you know, that those lemon strains. For me personally, one of my favorite is super lemon haze. Yeah, man, super lemon haze is by far one of those things that I can always smoke a joint of, and it's always a new feeling, like one of those fresh, powerful feelings. Those powerful highs.
Always has it on tip. We always have a super silver lemon haze on tip, concentrates.
Dude, you gotta like throw me some or something, man. Oh my God, dude, blessings, bro. Look, hey, so let's talk about what you do with Common Roots and Green Rush. You know, does that differ from what you do with Big B extracts? Do you do the same exact thing?
I'll be doing the same type of things, but for Common Roots and Green Rush, it's such a big company already, man. It's a juggernaut. So I'm just making concentrates. That's all I do all day long. Here, I'm going to branch out into other things. I'm going to branch out into edibles. We're going to do a cart line. We're going to do, just different things. I'm going to do different things here to try to stay. I don't want to, I can't compete with Mark or Green Rush. I'm still going to be working there. I'm still going to be doing their concentrates, but I have to be able to find my own niche. You know what I mean?
Yeah. These days, we're able to be ourselves and be independent. The way that you know, the world is headed, people like us, we're not so shunned anymore. We're actually accepted. in the last 5 years, one of the things I've heard is that, everybody who has the A1 weed game is, highly respected by, the realists of society. Because, like, people like us who know about the hash, who know about the concentrates, who know about, like, respecting weed. My God. Here. All right, go. We're definitely the tenders, because it's not just like weed that we're taking care of at our house. It's like tomatoes, our potatoes, all of our fruits and vegetables, herbs and gardens. Like, we're helping our families understand how to grow proper and through agricultural methods that have really not been tampered with by the hash makers and weed users. Because, like, weed people, they know their stuff. And if you look at a lot of these people out there in the agriculture game, testing and doing all a bunch of stuff, like, they kind of strive away from reality sometimes with their GMOs and sometimes their methods, right? And we bring it back to earth right here. And when we smoke this herb, we come back to earth. Okay, like, it's running up at about an hour mark. Do you want to go ahead and take a quick break, and then what we could do is talk about some cannabis news. There's a few articles and maybe some more things that you want to share about your business.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, sir. Let's go ahead and take a quick water break, and I can go ahead and situate my dogs better a little bit. All right, guys, give us a couple minutes. We'll be back. I'm gonna play a song or two.
Not new, what I do. I've been at it for a minute, pursuing, doing the damage. New, I would do everything that I said I would do. I gotta have it, so goddamn it, I'ma be everything I plan to be. Glad to see money coming my way, believe I'll achieve anything I put my mind to, or at least I try to. I'm avoiding my doom, manifesting my room. Meditate to ease the flow. Third eye open, see the golden energy. It can enter me, get me to feeling full. Forget my enemies, dead to me, yeah, I proceed to go to a new dimension. Gotta mention it's inside our soul. Go inside, fuck the outside. Never tell lies, show pride for belief. Gotta keep the range wide, so instead I just write another hit. Getting fried, rolling up, smoke another blunt for the good times. Good times, bad times makes for the good rhymes, so it never matters. I just learned, no, I can't hide. Thank God for every second was birthed with the mind of an ancient soul who's just waiting for the next sign. I'm always watching, vision like a hawk, have 'em flocking. When I drop it, I'm talking, have 'em knocking. The knowledge that I'm dropping, I'm coming out the noggin, I'm logged in. That's the intuition, nothing wrong with doing what you feel is right. Everybody got this. Usually feel it in the night when I'm dropping knowledge. Never even needed any college, abolished. People telling people what they want, I do not wish control over anybody, do it for the profit. That's the reason that they push it, do it from the cockpit. Cause they got the money, want the money on the mob shit. On the mob shit. But I know they ain't gon' make it, shit is poppin'. At the end of time, new age topics. Revolutionary crusade cross. Here we go to a new space. Yeah, we enter in a new place. Louis V on my shoelace, rolling with the blue face. Yeah, I'm wondering what you chase. Just another dude caught up in the rat race. Moving my pace, lot of people looking at me sideways. I chase future preparations, gotta go through my face till I feel ready to rearrange it. Happen on a daily basis, tripping oasis. When so many people that I can see through their faces and touch, so I'm reading minds, feel like I'm evasive, persuasive. Cause I feel the vibe, manipulation, I'm patient. Yeah, I feel the vibe, then work to change it. Manifestation, blessings is what I'm chasing. Quantum physics, I'm about to take the time and rearrange it. I play with reality, can't feel like I'm basic. Most people shut it down, don't wanna embrace it. Replacing.
1 minute. I'm gonna keep.
Gonna go far, that's what we on the run for, go hard. Sipping gin while we sitting, spitting those bars. Getting rich, got a vision, get the show cards. Lot of money laying around cause we go hard, always go hard. Spitting fire, see the sonar, hope they resonate with the vibe. Feel like Mozart, really I'm alive in my soul, feel like Mozart. That's what hoes are, too explosive so I show art. Yeah, I make art, sad to see people with no heart. I work to replace all of the negative, I go far with it. I'ma show all of these bitches, no complaining if you with it. Don't you dream me, see the vision, need my energy, the mission. Really take all my precision every single day. I picture where I'll be the day we get it. Feed the brothers, feed the fam. I don't really give a damn. I don't wanna get famous. I wanna lend a hand. Give the cash and rubber bands to the people always standing on my side, always down the ride. Say I planned it. I'm the guy, life is supersized on the planet. In my mind, I don't gotta try, I already have it. I'll be doing damage. I was born a savage. In my mind, I already died, living lavish. Heaven is a state of mind, be glad if you have it. Living in a simulation, be patient to grab it. Universal, bring it to you if you ain't an average. If you live an average, then Satan's bound to manage your life. I'm just trying to tell you if you gonna roll the dice, gamble in your life instead of living precise. I ain't perfect, but I'm gonna earn it. No, it don't concern anybody but my person. Lesson that I learned is that people are gonna burn. Anything you do, they gonna pay the price. Nothing nice come in life for the dipshits. They just wish shit, never gonna manifest it. Never catch me resting, short-term blessings. I just want my brain to work so I can write my next hit. Ignite the blessings, manifest my life, never question a moment in my life. I be knowing that it's meant to be, this my destiny. All the rest of my life really history. The day that I'm finally gone, they'll be missing me. Your position be the reason that I'm gone. 200 songs done, I've been on the run. I ride a wave, make a way, I'm the one. I stay the same, but I'm changing a ton. Rearranging my brain for the gains through the sun. I've been absorbing the light, I could say that I won. At least I'm conscious of what I'm doing, praying a ton. Relay all the information, staying patient with the shit. I write a hit just to get through all the shit. I ain't a bitch, so I'll make it. I ain't dealing with the prick, I'm finna take over the game. Really, I'm getting in, I'm really glad that you're here to witness it. I'm about to fix entire rap game. You could call it magic, like a trick. Classic with the way I spit it. It be clapping when it hits. I be snapping on this shit. I've been rapping, feeling lit.
We just wanted that front area clean.
Still going, and now it's done. All right. Thank you guys for being here. Hey, remember to check out all of my sponsors down below. One of my main sponsors is Boomer Boost Supplements, Vitamins, and Nutrients, Minerals. They got organic compounds, specifically made for the elderly, right? You know, these guys were out here like 60, 70 years old when they started creating this business. And then they formulated a athletic blend. So it's not only for elderly now, it's for all the young cats. It's just a total optimizer. I started taking it a few years ago, and my life has been better than ever, healthier than ever. I mean, literally, the way my diet has been, I mean, I'll eat everything that I need to, want to, but supplements, like, I'm able to actually be good in the morning and, like, not feel like a, you know, how do I say it, like, mentally dysfunctional, you know, where after a night of munchies, I'm like, I don't wake up with that grog. Or if I have some alcohol, I don't wake up with that grog, you know, that hangover feel. And hey, go check out all of their products and use my coupon code 509 Divine Pines for 30% off your order. And as well, go over to Natural Action Tech for your water ionizers from Jonathan Buttes. These things will definitely be a game changer for your water intake. I know when I drink the water, I feel stronger. When I don't, I feel a little bit weaker. And it's simply because of the powerful tools inside, like shungite, a natural mineral from a long, long time ago. You know, it rebalances the water. You know, what we got going on is a 30% coupon code 509-DP30 or 509-DP-30. Apologize, 509-DP-30 for 30% off your order. You can take those on the go. He has water mineralization drops. He has big time water ionizers that you can put in your company or your lab back home and, you know, really take your water level to the next level. And what we know is that water is key. We are about 70% hydrogen or more, and without optimizing our water inside of us, we are not fully optimizing ourselves. And we are back in action. Hey Brian. So let's talk about it. You know, one of the things I was running through my mind, this is a perfect question for you. So I did a little bit of music and I'm a little bit of cannabis too, right? And you are the same thing. Now, we look at the musicians all around the world. It almost seems like all these guys are smoking weed. How was it with you and your business? Like, did most of the music industry approve of weed? Like, I think, you know, just give my
they were
viewers
super tolerant of it, but to believe it or not, most of the people that would come through brought their families, bro. So they weren't even partying; they were just traveling and making music. A couple of them definitely slipped out to the back of the studio with me and smoked some weed back there. But for the most part, it wasn't. I'll tell you what, Dishwalla is not the most rockinest band in the world, right? They were the realest band at the hotel. They broke shit. They had groupies. I don't know if they were just young and partying, but they got down. But bands that you would think were going to just tear shit up had their families and their kids, man, and they didn't even drink. They were just like, "Oh, we're gonna go wine tasting after this," and it's like, wow.
I mean, so you look at Willie Nelson and Burner, Snoop Dogg, Rihanna. Like, okay, these are just the top of the top celebrities. Like, they're not really.
I gotta
like,
meet Snoop Dogg.
Oh, you got to meet Snoop Dogg, right? Oh, see, so you know what I'm saying is that some of these players and musicians, like, they're really huge proponents, like us. You know, like we're motivators about it. Like, we will, you know, we'll be all about it.
They're big. Yes, there are musicians now that are mainstream that are all about the weed. Yes, sir.
So like the game was a little bit different 10 years ago. You know what you're saying? And
I think everybody was tolerant of it. I don't think anybody was not cool with it, but it would be like the bass player gets high or, you know, whatever. And they were just
but this is country though. It was the country scene though, 97.5 a little bit.
No, it was top 40, so pop music, best hits of the 80s, 90s, and today. So like Bare Naked Ladies, Pearl Jam, stuff like that. Ooh, you would think everybody in like Pearl Jam would smoke weed, and they don't.
Oh wow!
Right. You would imagine everybody does, but and some people would be like, oh yeah, we used to, or you know, we don't while we're on tour or whatever. But yeah, my thing is this. I go to a lot of shows now still, and I went to a lot of shows before I was on the radio. I've been to probably 20 plus Iron Maiden shows, man, and I love Iron Maiden. And I went to see them at Climate Pledge Arena, and during their first set, they fucking said, marijuana makes you stupid, and fuck marijuana this and stuff, and fuck Iron Maiden. I'll never listen to their fucking asses again. They look like fucking geriatric fucking patients out there with diapers on. Fuck those guys. Why do you have to say that? What makes you think that the people that listen to you aren't smoking weed, Iron Maiden? Fuck, man. And why would you say that? I understand when Ted Nugent says it because he's retarded, but Iron Maiden, come on, man.
You know, I wonder if with these musicians, if it's like that Ric Flair thing. So Ric Flair back in the day, he was all anti-weed, super anti-weed. He would talk shit about it, you know. But
Yeah, not
now,
anymore. Now he's hanging out with Mike Tyson smoking blunts.
and he has his own cannabis company. So I wonder if it was a lot of closet stoners where, you know, they would be like, no, I don't do it. Yeah, I mean, like, it's cool, whatever.
Absolutely,
But,
like I said, a lot of cops smoke weed. Lawyers smoke weed. Doctors smoke weed. A lot of people smoke weed.
So it's the same thing with musicians, pretty much, though. Like,
yeah,
you know, a lot of them are closet stoners. They want to go ahead and just not keep it in the public. Because, like, yeah, I'll be real. As we mentioned earlier in the first half, like, there is this weird stigma with stoners that's barely being broken over the last few years. You know, for the longest of time, the stigma was that, oh, stoners are the worst. They're just munchy, you know, eating munchies, and they're just causing a whole bunch of lazy issues. They're stuck on their couch. They don't do anything. They're not productive. But then now, like, you know, what I've been doing over the last 10 years, I've been breaking that mold here in my city. I'll be stoned out, high on my mind, playing sports at a very high level, you know, working out, just doing a whole bunch of stuff very productively, happily, and, you know, that's what we're all about, man. We don't need all that closet stoners.
With the 3.75 GPA, so I'm not stupid. And I think other people that I went to school with were also smart and graduated with high GPs. And we should have been like, hey, guess what? The whole time we were at school, every single day we got high. And then it's like, okay, why do you think that educated people that graduated and smoke weed are stupider than like some guy that just smokes? Oh, damn. That goes crazy.
No, you're 100% right, bro. I choked on my wine, bro.
He's sticking back in his Ford F-150 in his trailer, drinking Budweiser and smoking cigarettes, and then he's like, people smoke marijuana are dumb as fuck. And it's like, yeah, bro. But we have washing machines. I mean, we win. I mean, come on.
I apologize, bro. It's upside down world, man. You're completely right. These people with PhDs, they have their head up so far up their ass, they actually don't know the information. You know, they're literally like dumb. Like some of these people who have like, you know, big time things, they're really, really dumb. Like, and us who are looked at as the stupid people, you know, we're able to build machines, we're able to tinker, you know, we're able to fix our houses, we're able to go outside and, you know how to work with animals and the garden, which you take some of these normies, you know, some of these people, they act like robots. They're like, what is this? What is this animal real? Yeah. You know, you're completely right, bro.
Yeah.
You're completely right. So I'm drinking wine right here. Yeah, this is just I don't even know, just some amazing wine. What do you think about that? So what do you think about cannabis wine? Huh?
I think it would be great. I don't think the FDA will ever allow it to be legal, but I think it would be awesome.
Oh, so it's not legal?
You can't sell it. You can't make alcohol infused cannabis. They just did something in the Supreme Court to ban all that, so people wouldn't think about it, I guess.
You know, that's very interesting because cannabis wine is actually one of the most ancient medicines that goes back thousands of years. Like cannabis wine was a powerful thing that, you know, people have been using for a long time in many cultures around the world and still do. So I had no idea that I was banned. That's actually a very interesting thing.
Try to find some cannabis infused ice cream or dairy products.
You know, I actually infuse my butter. I break down about an ounce or two.
For sale at a store. You won't find any ice cream or anything. You can find non-dairy ice cream, but the dairy people are like the mob, man. They don't play. They're like, you're not infusing any dairy products with cannabis.
It's interesting. Are they oppose cannabis or?
Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah, my friend was telling me about it because when I got this spot, I was like, I'm gonna make ice cream, and he's like, no, you're not. And I was like, yeah, I am. And he's like, you better check into that, dude. And he was right. It's crazy.
So yeah, this industry is very controlling, I think. Then, and it's going to be in the hands of us for our own entrepreneurship and how well we succeed. I mean, yeah, there'll be big business everywhere, but like, you know, to really go ahead and make yourself a mark, you gotta really take it upon yourself to make your own home edibles, not go work with this big business, because they will run you out. You know, you play ball or you run out. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. So let's
there will always be room for connoisseur growers and producers, though, and I think that, like you were saying, if Washington says we can transport. Now, if we get other states to get on board with that, imagine how many more people there are for me to sell to or to advertise to.
Yeah, that's going to change over the next few years. You know, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about some of the where else do you look at entheogens and this holistic medicine? Like, do you think that some of these other plant medicines could also be beneficial for the world? You know, cannabis, mushrooms. People are now using MDMA and cocaine, and that's so crazy. You know, Canada is all about that. We're actually using it medicinally, right? What do you think about some of these other things replacing a lot of what we got going on in the pharmaceutical industry?
I don't know about replacing anything right now, because I'm not a doctor, and I don't want anybody to like stop taking anything that they're supposed to be taking. But what I do also think and strongly believe is that we do need to allow scientists and doctors to do research on these things instead of making them a class 1 drug that you can't study and anything about it is illegal, because they're finding through studies, small case studies, that mushrooms are helping veterans, man. So I don't care if it's howling at the moon at midnight. If it helps the veteran, we should all be on board with that. And it's helping them reacclimate themselves to society. Now, we wanted these guys to go to places and do terrible things, and they can't sleep and they can't eat and they can't get back to it. And mushrooms are making it happen. Why wouldn't we want to check that out?
I'm a huge push for that. You know, we see California and Colorado push for mushrooms, and where we're headed as a nation, I think it's a great thing. I actually did see within the last year, the government itself was trying to look for the medical side of mushrooms in their own terms. This was actually from their words. We see that the COVID-19 pandemic has caused a lot of distress on society and Americans, and we want to replace a lot of the opioid addictions and pharmaceutical with pill addictions, all that stuff. You know, the darker drugs addictions they targeted with cannabis and mushrooms, and so they made this huge push over the last like year or so, and that's why we're seeing it all over. You know, you kind of look at society now, and there's so much more mushrooms everywhere. You know, Joe Rogan is a huge proponent for it. You know, Paul Stamets, the Fantastic Fungi, Netflix is all about it, and you know, it's able to actually not only heal veterans but heal disabled people. I've seen some trippy stories about how there was a person paralyzed from the legs down who attended a rave EDM concert. You know, he was looking out into the concert, just like man, these guys are having so much fun, and he was getting happy. You know, he was getting a little bit happy, but then his friend's like, hey, you want to go ahead and take this bag of mushrooms just to see how you feel, just to enjoy the moment more. And so this paralyzed man, this was recorded in for a long time, like 10 years. He ate the bag of mushrooms and he got up. This has not been the only case where people with bipolar disorders, people with like very bad PTSD. Let's see, very bad split. Like all these psychological issues. I apologize. I'm going in a blank, but all these psychological issues are being healed through mushrooms. It's every year and every month now that I'm seeing a new article and new doctor admission. Like, hey, yeah, one day I had a patient, and this problem was going on for years, and then they came in, the problem was gone. I asked them what they did, and all they said was they were trying mushrooms, and well, that's the last I ever seen of them. The problem was gone. And it's the same thing with cannabis. Mushrooms it's a rarer thing that like people are gonna have those issues, those higher forms of psychological or physiological issues and ailments that people might need those things. But cannabis is much more simpler one. For me personally, I haven't even been sick a day in the last 3 to 4 years, brother. Ever since I started taking CBD and ever since the pandemic hit, I have not been sick a day, where everybody else is like, I feel sick for a week. Like, man, like, no, oh, heck no. My immunity, my system is on point. As you mentioned earlier, our CBD system, like that's so important. Do you think that maybe you'll go ahead and dabble into some of that? Like, you're gonna start, offering these CBD, like a little bit of products, and maybe something that can, target these things, CBN, CBG, CBN, CBG.
Yeah, we're looking into doing some gummies, but I don't think I can call them gummies. Chewy candies. We're gonna do infused chewy candies because they won't let us call them gummies, I don't think. But fruit chews or something like that. But yeah, man, I think I'm gonna do a couple 1-to-1s and maybe 1 to 10 CBD to THC and see how they sell anyway. See if people are looking for them. But I think if I saw it on the shelf, I would want to check it out and see if that CBD does actually do anything for me. And it's this isn't me saying it; it's proven medically. It's one of the best things for inflammation, and most of your major diseases, heart attack, stroke, all that shit is caused by inflammation. So yeah, it doesn't hurt to get a little bit in you and check it out. And I think people that even like your mom or your grandma or whatever, they're starting to get in on the CBD thing too. It's like CBD lotions and CBD pills so they can feel more relaxed and more conscious and cognitive when they're awake.
I do see a lot more elderly in the stores these days, in dispensaries, and they're pro weed. They don't look at people who smoke weed with a disgusting face anymore. They kind of look at us like, hey, these guys, they know what's up. My back pain goes away. I wonder, they're probably feeling good. Hey, but let's just talk about some weed articles now. This is from Hyde. I want to get your take on some of these, so my viewers can go ahead and get multiple perspectives of what we got going on. So first thing would this right here: Arizona veteran faces prison time for treating cluster of headaches with DMT. That DMT is one of these entheogens. It's a plant medicine, right? We hear a lot about it. Joe Rogan and yeah. What do you think about this? Like, what's your take on DMT and yeah? Do you think that stuff like that should also be regulated and allowed? Because over here in Washington, like for we do have them ayahuasca centers.
I just don't think that I have the right and anyone else has the right to tell someone what to do with their own body for their own spirituality or mental well-being or whatever you want to call it. What gives me the right to say don't try it? It's hypocritical. People, whatever they're doing seems to be perfectly fine, but they're the first ones to point their big fat fingers at everyone else, man. And if it helps him, who cares what he did? Did he hurt himself? Did he hurt anybody else? I just don't understand why people are so concerned about what other people are doing, And I understand that drugs are bad. I mean, they pair it in with meth and coke and heroin, and it's not. It's not, these things are not those things, man. They're not party drugs. They're for your mind.
Wow. Yeah. So here let's go ahead and just tell my viewers a little bit about this. So on August 11, 2021, Damon Lazitz was arrested in Chandler, Arizona, when police raided his house and found psilocybin mushroom, DMT, and a flask containing naphtha, a chemical used to extract DMT. He used those in a tryptamine entourage to treat his cluster headaches, which are widely considered one of the most painful experiences. And he's literally just healing himself. He's not doing this to anybody else, but using this for any type of nefarious reasons. But this is that thin line where he is on, synthesizing, being a little bit of yeah, dude. Like he's literally not even hurting anybody.
That's why I wouldn't live in Arizona or Florida or Texas. You're just asking for trouble when you live there. They're Stone Ages. They're nuts in those places, man. So you're risking your safety and your well-being if you go to Idaho and you have cannabis, or you go to Florida or Texas, man. They're not down. They're still 1950s. Are you on mute, brother? I'm gonna wrap it up. 12.
10 o'clock. On my bed.
Oh, yo. Can you hear me?
Yeah, brother. We're gonna have to wrap it up, though.
No, it's all good. So yeah. How long wasn't I talking? Barely 30 seconds or a minute or what?
Yeah,
Barely.
yeah. Just the last comment. That's it.
Oh, okay, sweet. Yeah. I'm not too sure what happened. That usually doesn't happen. It's really weird. But I haven't been airing too much recently, so maybe I need to sharpen up these internet protocols around here. But so yeah. Well, like, where do you think the future of cannabis is heading? Do you think it's going to be a beautiful thing? What's your opinion?
I hope so, man. I hope that we get full legalization in the United States. I think if a candidate is using that as part of their platform to get elected, and then they don't do it, then shame on them, man. Because if you're telling everybody, hey, vote for me and we'll legalize cannabis nationwide, and then you don't, then it's kind of bullshit, I think that it's crazy that I can smoke weed right now, right here. I can light this up and smoke this and not worry about it. And someone in Montana Montana's legal now. Someone in Idaho or someone in Florida will go to prison for that, man. I just don't get it. I don't get how the same people that are so for everyone's rights, I want all my rights, I want everyone to have all their rights, are so truly against people's rights.
I mean, as a worldwide thing, though, I think that we're all fighting for it. Like some of these nations and some of these places are actually changing their opinion. I know Mexico recently has like flipped. I know some parts of Mexico, they're really all in on weed now, whereas like they hated it before. Now they're like, they're trying to heal. They're trying to unite. The cartel's even falling away from doing the bad stuff. They're actually investing a lot of their money in cannabis now to try to make amendments and to try to make money, of course. What do you think, like, as far as hemp and cannabis for the world, though? We're always gonna have enemies out here and people who are gonna nudge us and try to pull us, but like, as for hemp and cannabis, I think that it's going to be in top 5 industry in the world in the next 10 years. Cash crop, and it's going to be in every store.
We're already the number 3 cash producing business. I mean, we're killing it. It's just, it has to be more of a level playing field. It has to be fair. This is the most taxed industry. It's the most regulated industry. And I know that it's new. It's only 7 years old or 8 years old. And I know that we're still got growing pains, but they don't mind taking that money, man. And we're making millions and millions of dollars for schools, for our highways. I'm all for that, but you have to allow me to make some money, and you have to allow me to have enterprise. I can't advertise. I can't advertise my company. I can't advertise my wares. What other company in America cannot advertise their product or wares? I get paid. I get taxed at 30, or we get taxed twice at 30%, and then it gets taxed again at 30% when it goes to the stores. What else is taxed like that, man? I mean, I'm not saying it should be, a carte blanche, but I'm saying just treat us like anything else, man. Treat me like a wine industry. And cannabis is legal now, right? Cannabis is legal in Washington, right on. If you don't own a home, where can you really smoke cannabis legally? Because you get busted. You can't smoke weed just out in public. You can't smoke weed walking down the street. People do, but it is against the law. So they say it's legal for you to smoke, but you have to smoke in privacy in your own home. And if you don't own a home, then you can't do it. So it's all bullshit. I want to have a bar. I want to go to a bar, and I want to be in the bar that only sells weed, no alcohol. And there's a pool table and a ping pong table, and people come and they smoke a couple joints and they have a good time, maybe dance a little, have bands in there. But no, you can't do that because we're not treated the same. We're still villains to be hidden in the backyard and down the alley.
Well, I agree with that, man. A lot of society is barely coming to and fro from the dark knowledge to the lighter knowledge, and I actually I cover a lot of these news articles. I do see some of our politicians, though, these younger politicians who are fighting for it, who are fighting for cannabis legality. They're from our generation ish, and they want to actually benefit humanity. They specifically want to destroy the pharmaceutical industry, and yeah, man, I definitely love these ideas, like to get together in a cool place. Like 420 was amazing for me. I was over at Nerds Tag Laser Arcade Fun Center in Yakima. They had a 420 party, and man, they shut that thing down at nighttime, right? And they had dabs galore, weed galore. You pay $35 and you smoke as much as you want. Literally, they supplied it to you, like it was all you could smoke, right, for $35. Pretty much like a buffet of weed and dabs. And then you got the arcades, and that man, that like these cannabis events is they're safe. They're completely safe. Like, they're so much fun. They're very enlightening. They're very proactive, very professional. Compared to a lot of the other scenarios that the politicians could allow the youth to be in, like drug-filled street parties and like clubs with nefarious drugs and violence gun violence and sex trafficking going on and all that. Like they don't want to promote like those type of lifestyles too much anymore for the future, from because like their own kids are going to be going through. They don't want people ending up like Hunter Biden. They want good people, and one of the things that's helping is cannabis. We're about to go ahead and hit the hour 30 mark, and you want to go ahead and wrap up. So let's go ahead and do that, buddy, and we'll have you back on another time. It's getting a little late. I need to go do some things too, and let people know what you got going on, any future projects, and we'll definitely have you back on again, brother.
Yeah, just check my Instagram out, Big B Tri-Cities. Everything I'm doing is on there. On my hash every day, I put it on there. So go check that out.
Hey, man. Good. It was an amazing conversation, honestly. This was fun. This was a great experience. Two 509ers uniting and showing what cannabis should all really be about. Peace, love, harmony, information, knowledge, and powerful conversations, not some of those dumb conversations that you see from these rappers. They're all making like stupid noises, and they're just trying to like talk and gibber and keep it really low profile. They don't want to speak too loudly. Like, no, man, hey, we got to be vocal in order to make the world. We got to change the world, and we got to speak our truth. And that's what we've done here tonight, man. I appreciate you, Brian. You have a wonderful night, brother. Be blessed and be high.
Peace.
All right, guys, you heard that. This was an amazing conversation. A Friday night special for all of y'all. We love that cannabis, that chill, that good times for real. And that is what I gave to y'all. So, I'm just going to go ahead and add on some news for a little bit. I'm just want to rush by and cover some things and give you guys a little bit of a bonus because hey, that's what I've done. So I'm just gonna go ahead and finish off what I was doing with that cannabis news. I'm gonna brush into some realer political news. I'm not gonna speak too long on these. So weed legalization has contributed to a decrease in tobacco use. And look, I love tobacco. Tobacco is a spiritual tool, but what is not is the Marlboro and Camel and pre-packaged cigarette fulls. All that bullshit is filled with chemicals galore. When over the last 2 years, if I did like have cannabis, it was like loose leaf. I mean, if I had tobacco, it was loose leaf where I would be rolling my own stuff, and it was natural stuff. And it was, I'll tell you, there's a completely different feel where I would be, I smoked a little bit of cigarettes 10 years ago, and I would feel like it was, I don't know, thin chemicals going through me. Like, I feel a little burnt, harsh, going through me. But then in the last 2 years, when I would use the loose leaf, not that I'm using it right now, but it felt lighter. It felt stronger, like it was an actual plant, where the other stuff felt like chemicals. Literally, man, that's the only way I could say it. This stuff, the loose stuff feels like plants. So, I'm all for, the decrease in the industry tobacco. Like if weed is being legalized, then a lot of the people who were on Camels and, Marlboros and shit, they got off of that. They're like, if I'm a smoke, let me smoke something real, homie. And then, everybody who was doing that loose leaf still stayed using that loose leaf. So pretty much all the money from the big industry is going away. And that's probably what this article, says without really saying. That's one of them unspoken things that we find. And yeah, this is a great thing. You've seen a lot of people who are addicted to tobacco and cigarettes, and it's bad. Yeah, man. Hey, well, next up from the Star Tribune, Minnesota House cast final vote to legalize recreational marijuana. So They are one step away, one signature away from marijuana. Everybody, a border state of Minnesota, be aware because the neighbors are going to be high pretty soon. That is a big up to the cannabis movement, and the more states and more places we have, the better. And another here from News Nation: U.S. worker positive tests in the drug tests are at a 25. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, and there is a decoy used in these across. Just the proof is in the pudding, guys. If you guys want to be healthy, get the body going on. Feel what heaven is all meant to be. Feel what God is meant to be. You know, this is a beautiful plant, and when you give it to your friends, family, you can tell that there's a difference. And when you give them something that's not cannabis, like alcohol, they'll turn people into fools. Cocaine, turn people into super fools. Tobacco, sometimes I'll turn people into assholes. Um, opioids turn people into slumps. Same thing with all those other drugs, right? But you give your friends some marijuana, they're like, let's go out and let's go on a hike. Let's go play with our dogs. Let's go play disc golf. Go golfing. Play a little basketball. That's all I did when that's all I've been doing when I smoke. I want to go do something active for sure. Not saying that I can't like kick it indoors and like watch a movie through a new lens of eyes, right? Breaking down the matrix is, but no, like for the most part, yeah. I definitely want to be active when I smoke. And I'm sure most of the world does too, right? All of us here in America, we want to be active. We don't want to be slumped. We don't want to be lazy, boxed in. A lot of us come from Mexican generations where all we've known is nomadic, movement and hardworking, marine and hunter gatherer like lifestyles where we're constantly moving, constantly having to, you know figure out the world, explore, and contribute, attribute, and gather and resource. So we want to be out there, out in the world. When you're on those other stuffs, those other drugs and other things, you just want to stay in one spot, and you don't care about ever leaving. When you're on those SSRIs, those you know GMOs and all that. Next up, um, hmm. Well, let me see. All right, here we go. Insomnia now is a new medical condition for medical cannabis in New Mexico. So all my New Mexico people who cannot sleep because Roswell right by you, yeah, guys. Roswell, New Mexico, remember? You guys can go ahead and hit up your doctor and be like, I can't sleep. Them aliens are bothering me. And they'll be like, all right, well, I can apply you medical cannabis and you can get your cannabis, guys. Well, you don't have to use the term aliens. They'll probably a little funny, but just say you can't sleep, right? I'm just playing around. Just say you can sleep, right? For anybody who is having some insomnia issues, sleep issues, personally, yeah, like I said, my sleep has been better than ever now that I'm using weed with butter, right? Weed butter. Like I don't have to smoke as much anymore. I'm rich super high because of this weed butter. And yeah, everybody needs to understand that when we activate our CBD system, have sleep, better energy, better hormonal balance. Our systems are in tune. Acid. They're in unison, actually. They're actually working at double the strength. What we know is that more than 100 health conditions are like legitimately healed through the use of proper cannabis use. So in your daily life, you're going to be getting so many health benefits all at once just from eating, one of the world's best plants. When we look at the actual chemical breakdown of marijuana, you see that its complexity outweighs something like an onion, or an apple. Like the DNA structure and the compounds found within cannabis on a chemical level are supreme. Like, you'll find so many compounds inside cannabis that are very beneficial, that differ from fruits and things like that. Like, so the medical benefit, it's very high because of the concentration of all these very powerful chemicals and stuff. Right. It is the world's best healer, not one of. I was about to say one of. It legitimately is the world's best. Now, here is another article from Marijuana Movement. So, it's not only me saying it. So, the American Medical Association has been running a study, and marijuana is associated with significant and sustained health improvements. This was just published a week ago. So this is brand new. Researchers carried out a retrospective case series analysis that involved 3,148 people in Australia who prescribed medical cannabis for the treatment of certain eligible conditions. For all 8 well-being indicators that were tested, marijuana appeared to help with adverse effects that were rarely serious, according to the study published last week in the Journal of American Medical Association Health Policy. Patients were asked to rate their wellness in 8 categories on the scale of 0 to 100 at different stages of treatment. Those categories were general health, bodily pain, physical functioning, physical role limitations, mental health, emotional role limitations, social functioning, and vitality. After administering the survey to the patients about once every 45 days for a total of 15 follow-ups, the study found that participants who were consuming cannabis reported average improvements of 6.6 to 18.31 points on the 100-point scale, depending on the category. These findings suggest that medical cannabis treatment may be associated with improvements in health-related quality of life among patients with a range of health conditions. The researchers from the Swinburne University of Technology, University of Western Australia, and Austin Hospital wrote, patients using medical cannabis reported improvements in health-related quality of life, which were mostly sustained over time. The most common conditions for marijuana that were prescribed were non-cancer chronic pain, 68.6%, then cancer-related pain, 6%, and insomnia, 4.8%, and also anxiety, 4.2%. The use of cannabis as a medicine is becoming increasingly prevalent. The study says, given the diverse range of conditions being treated with medical cannabis, as well as a vast array of products and dose forms available, clinical evidence incorporating patient-reported outcomes may help determine safety and efficiency. So, it's not even only America saying it. It's Australia, and Australia is very, very bad. They took your guns. Shit, they're about to take cheeks and take people into freaking buildings, bro. It was ridiculous. Literally, they put people in concentration camps. I'm not just saying that like shyly. Like these guys put people in COVID concentration camps. You know who else put people in concentration camps? Hitler. Like it didn't end up like that. All right, the Australians were eventually freed, but just for a mere moment, all their liberties were taken away because they had no guns. They had no. I'm not gonna say. They didn't have courage to stand up for what is right. But no, now here we go. Look, it. What I'm saying is that Australia, they have very strict thinking some things, but no, now they're really understanding the use of medical cannabis, and they're admitting it, and they can't deny it anymore. Nobody can. We look all across the world, and if you're thinking, oh, it's just weed smoke, weed smoke, weed smoke, bad, 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 stoner, dumb, dumb, dumb. Yeah, like some people can abuse things. You can abuse water, you can abuse soda, you can abuse McDonald's, you can abuse the TV, you can abuse porn, you know, but you can't really abuse this cannabis like properly when you're shown it the right way. But yeah, you like dummies can misuse cannabis. Just be all dumb with it, right? Okay. But it's still not the same thing. Like it's not gonna like you know you're still not gonna see unhealthy people. Everywhere you go, no matter if you even see the dummies or the smart people using cannabis, you're gonna see most of them healthy. So it's not something that we can hide anymore. Just a matter of how you use it and how professional, how mature you are, and if your knowledge and how well you understand these things, which you can apply yourself to, and what you can apply yourself with. Um, and the people who are using cannabis properly, they're really thriving. I'm really thriving. I've been better than ever in the last 3 years. While everybody's getting sick and dropping like flies, I'm not. I really hope the best for everybody, and I really hope everybody can take CBD. Like if it were up to me, if I were president, if I were ruler of the world, uh, if I were in charge, if I had all the world's money, or even if I just had enough money to change the world, how about that? I don't want all the world's money. If I had the ability to change the world, I would just one thing is I would put weed butter in everybody's system and gut. Because I know the benefit. Probably some weed mushroom butter. Some weed mushroom MDMA DMT butter. Yeah. Nah, in all reality, I would apply entheogens to more households, to more um medical establishments and medical practitioners. I would promote more entheogen and holistic nature use, and I would put people on the knowledge and proof and show them, you know, through the same things that our governments are doing by opening up centers. So it's not just our really governments, but it's like medical establishments who are opening up centers for these places, like cannabis centers where you can smoke cannabis, mushroom centers where you can take mushrooms with trained people, ayahuasca centers where you can take ayahuasca with trained people to help you go through it and learn it and uh, understand how to heal yourself through these very powerful tools and better your life and your well-being and your spirit. Break free from darkness and the matrix and the pre-packaged garbage that this other industry, the demonic industry, wants to have you on. The one that makes you boxed in, lazy, fragile, weak minded, hurting, in pain, sick, unhealthy, listening to everybody's laws in fear. You know what I mean, right? They want you in a fear box, and we don't play that around here. It's all about love and healing, and that's what I provide. That's what also the marijuana moment is providing. We're showing, even in the health American industry. What is it? What specifically? American Medical Association. That's big. That's big. The researchers said that the retrospective case series analysis is limited by the fact that it was not only control, making it more difficult to generalize the results. The study suggests a favorable association between medical cannabis treatment and the quality of life among patients with a diverse range of conditions. However, clinical evidence for cannabinoid efficiency remains limited, and further high-quality trials are required. So this is where we've seen in the last 10 years the push for terpenes and the push for CBDs and cannabinoids. What I think, I'll be honest, what I'm thinking is that a lot of these stats are being recorded, and they're trying to understand if people really do have a connection to CBG, CBNs, different terpenes, because we're starting to look into things like that these days with under the microscope as a nation, as a world, and we're seeing that like maybe there's possibly a link. Like people are speculating it, but like I'm a firm believer. I already know that yes, like all these different terpenes and cannabinoids, they have specific effects with us. Like every one of our DNA building blocks is different. And so um you know it's definitely something that everybody can use a different type of plant and get a different effect specifically for their own body's needs. And that's where it's going. I see. That's good because if we can start creating tonics and elixirs or specific blends for people more readily available, that'll save a lot of people from health problems in the future. 1000%. All right, all right. Now give me one moment. I'm going to run through these quicker articles right here. Moscow bans 500 Americans from Russia, including CNN journalists. This is from CNN just today. Russia on Friday announced that it was banning 500 Americans, many prominent figures in the U.S. executive power, from entering the country in response to the regularly anti-Russian sanctions imposed by Joe Biden and his administration. Wow. The list includes Obama, John Huntsman, several U.S. senators, and the next expected chairman of Joint Chief Charles Q. Brown Jr. The rambling list of names also includes Americans late night TV host Jimmy Kimmel, Corbett, and Seth Meyers. Very interesting. It also includes those in government and law enforcement agencies who are directly involved with the persecution of dissidents or the J6 events. Wow. Very interesting. I mean, look, dude, America is filled with idiots. Personally, if I were in another country, I would have want a lot of these high level executives, Americans, these high level pedophiles right here. Look at the fucking pizza eater. Look at that boy. And I wouldn't want him, bro. Either. I would ban him. Just like the way they're banning archaeologists from just studying the truth. They wanna attack Graham Hancock. They want to ban him from Serpent's Mound in Ohio. He's an archaeologist. All this dude does is write books, study rocks, study history, study the world. He's not picking up a gun. He likes cannabis, likes a little bit of mushrooms too. And all he's doing is writing. He's going out there in nature, looking at what he sees, putting his 2 cents in, and America wants to ban him. So, of course, if you have any sense of heart or brain right now, you would be like, the way that American executives are going, they have their heads so far up their ass, they don't know which way reality is. And so some of these guys need to be banned. Like I said, the way that they're banning just archaeologists, they don't even, how could I even say that? Like these politicians who are in control of all the world's gun or all of the nation's guns and all of the nation's biggest and hardest criminals and cases, they're getting offended, mad by an archaeologist, by a historian. So yeah, like I support this ban right here. I don't support Russia with all this shit that they do. And sometimes they're fools, just like every nation. Every nation has their good people, their bad people. But I do support this ban. I don't care if it intensifies, what is it? Intensifies emotions and war or whatever, dude. At some point, you got to stand up for reality, and I'm standing up for Graham Hancock, and if you know The whole J6 thing, that shit's confusing, bro. I have no idea. There's so many sides. There's so many angles to that whole fucking debacle. I don't even want to get into that. I have no idea. I'm talking about January 6th, where the shaman went onto the Capitol stage and led an insurrection by Donald Trump. Fuck, who even knows? Because there's CIA and FBI front tailings and evidence that they were involved all too well, and even other agencies. Who even knows that thing was a shit show? And but it's just interesting that Russia used as the main reason. Right? I don't really know what's going on too far with how many sides there are to. There's a lot of sides. We know there's a Russian side, a Chinese side, an American side, a bunch of other sides. Yeah. Now next up from BBC, G7 summit, Africa seeks new roles as nation eyes its resources. So all of the world is going to Africa for all the world's resources, and Africa is now saying, you know what? We want bigger cuts. We don't want the whole type of thing that's going on. We want to be in charge now, and we want to go ahead and take over and be in control. Everybody comes to us and abuses us, and so you're completely right, man. Stand up, because that's ridiculous. It's pretty much still slave trade. A lot big wigs from all around the world go there and then just straight up abuse that nation. Africa is a beautiful place before the deforestation, before the destruction of the temples and the monuments and the ancient archaeology there. Even the destruction of the cultures and people and the wildlife there. All of the world is beautiful, right? But like I'm saying, I'm glad that these people are standing up. The prime minister who is speaking, of Japan about this issue is saying many countries of the so-called global south are hurt and suffering from high and food energy prices. The cause of this issue should be traced to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. What the fuck? So everybody's just intermingling and intertwining all sorts of things. The Zambian official says that with the era of colonialism now in the past, Africa wants to get more benefit from the relationship by equipping itself with the skills to keep more economic value from its vast resources. Of course. We are not going to continue as the historical sources of raw materials. It will not work because of the growing population, which wants opportunities for decent jobs, and that can only come at the process of manufacturing, agro-processing. So they want to change their whole nation and supply themselves with everything now. They don't want to do the trades that's been going on. I wouldn't either. Yeah. Go ahead and move forward. I'm not going to read this article. I'm just going to read the headline. This is from the New York Times. It's simply because I don't want to get into this bullshit, because we know exactly what's going on. But the Pentagon says accounting mistake frees up $3 billion more for Ukraine. The Biden administration, says it can now send up to $3 more billion. Look, they're emptying America's pockets just to supply a chemical warfare, a sex nation, a arms trade. Pray for Ukraine and the people. So King James is an interesting character. I'm moving forward. Most people don't know that the King James Bible that we see is also written by the same person, King James first, who wrote a book on demonology about how the courts viewed witchcraft and witches. The original edition was written in 1597 And here's the book cover. Very interesting. I had no idea myself. I had seen this as a quick piece of news. Article that I can relay as a piece of news because now I'm interested. I really wonder what this holds. I know that some of these books, they're not shown in our schools for a reason. They're too powerful, right? They don't want all these kids learning these concepts at a very young age, which is understandable. Like, you have to be adult and mature to really be able to protect yourself and understand these things, these nature spirits and energies around us. So I'm glad, I didn't learn as a kid, but I'm also wondering, like, even as an adult, it's still not like widely known, right? So it's like these books that are hidden, they're very powerful. I had no idea about this. I'm gonna go ahead and put this on my book list. So let's see. Texas passes bill banning transgender treatments on minors. Congrats. Thank God. Thank you, Texas. As I was just talking about Texas, look, Texas is crazy, but I'm glad that they're not that crazy, okay? Any doctor or adult who thinks it's okay to change a kid's sexual gender because they want to or think it's cool or misjudge their identity, like, you're sick in the head. You need to be checked out and thrown onto your own island, and see how that gender thing really plays for it when you need to repopulate in order to survive on that island. Otherwise, you're just gonna find a whole bunch of dead bones. Either you repopulate and accept that genders exist, but more importantly, let's not mess with the kids. Like, as a nation, as a world, like, any adult, whatever you want to do, I guess, do whatever you want to do at your own risk, right? But leave the kids alone. And I'm glad Texas is doing that, because literally I seen this New Jersey article. I believe it was New Jersey, somewhere in the east. I apologize if it's not New Jersey, but one of these states just allowed had this huge problem where these doctors were caught on camera saying, oh yeah, I'm the health advisor, and if I get the psychologist's approval, I don't even need the parents' approval, but I can go ahead and change the kid's gender. So, like, they were getting the approval by the state, and weird psychologists, the evil sick books, to just change your kid's gender. If your kid went to school and told the teacher or counselor, I didn't feel like I wanted to be this or that, or they said something funny and the counselor pressured them into edge them in, oh, are you sure you want to be a girl, like, are you like, you know hmm you, you could be a boy, and they're tricking them. They don't even need your permission, adults. They could just go ahead and do that in some places, right? And then some other places are actually trying to judge. There was I think an industry or an actual association, one of these associations, who was coming out and saying, yeah, if your kid says things that are similar to what we think is gender dysmorphia or whatever, gender dysgenderism or whatever, like they were the wrong gender, then just because they say it, then we can go ahead and go through with it. We'll go ahead and classify that as an okay reason. So if your kid was like, yeah, I want to play with a Barbie doll or a Hot Wheels toy, and they were the opposite sex, some of these associations are trying to use that as a weird sexual niche of, oh, change their gender. It's like, look, I don't want to beat this dead horse, but this shit's serious, bro. Like the fate of the world is at hand. Like, let's just say hypothetically, nobody stood up for any of these transgender things, and so if in 30 years the way that it's going with all of this craziness, you would see a huge decline in population, people who wouldn't even be able to birth anymore properly. Or how about this? Birth natural, one sex, I don't even know how to say it. Like, yeah, just birth natural kids. It gets weird, right? To even think about the possibility if nobody stood up. I don't want to beat a dead horse. That horse. Um, I'm trying to pull up some Twitter articles, but it's seemingly they're not pulling up. So, what we got right here from Ultra Culture. This is a question from Jonah Loxley. Why is there liquid mercury under the Teotihuacan pyramid? So, it's not only the Teotihuacan pyramid, it is, the rest of the pyramid complexes around the world. These complexes are not what we're told for the longest of times. They aren't sacrificial. They're not evil places. They're not places for demons and dark gods. A lot of these places were actually energy centers and technologies and, working vehicles, working engines, mortal engines, places you can go for healing or power or energy. Some of the pyramids, we know for a fact that the stories are passed down that they would be able to take seeds into these pyramids, and the seeds would grow a little bit, and then you'd plant the seeds and the crops would be 10 times bitter, 10 times stronger. The plant would be supercharged with good energy, positive energy. Archaeologists recently announced the discovery of large quantities of mercury at the entrance of the burial chamber 60 feet below the pre-Aztec city of Teotihuacan. The find is a recent development of a 6-year-long excavation at the ruins of the Pyramid of the Plumed Serpent. So far, the sacred tunnels have yielded about 50,000 artifacts, such as stone sculptures and obsidian knives and the mercury. However, that may be a key to unlocking an even greater mystery. Some archaeologists believe the toxic element could herald what believed the first ruler's tomb ever found in Teotihuacan. Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, everybody has their own speculation on what exactly it is. Really, like, everyone has their own ideas, and for some of these places, they really fit in a way. Gomez, there's another archaeologist Gomez says the metal may have been used to symbolize an underworld river or lake previously uncovered in small amounts of the few Mayas. Even further, it had never been found in Teotihuacan. The same is named for the Roman god Mercury, patron of speakers, travelers, and merchants. Also a psychocomp, a god tasked with carrying souls to the afterlife. Huh. The element mercury has been found in Egyptian chambers and is also in the underground necropolis of the Chinese Emperor Qin Shi. Mercury's immortal nature is also prized by early modern alchemists and was often alluded to in the references as the Philosopher's Stone, the black goo, what we know as Terminator and all these things. It's fascinating because we know that some of these ancient technologies are being hidden, but they're right before our own eyes. All right, guys. This has been a fun time. It's about at 2 hours. I thank you guys for being here. Make sure to check out my sponsors at heartsoilproject.com for 20% off your orders. Use 509 Divine Pines. You will find seeds, plant nutrients, hemp apparel, and more. Use also my Eagle Dash Research water electrolyzer coupon from George Wiseman. 509 Divine Pines is the coupon code for 20% off your order. Actually, it might now be a 5% off order. I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to check in with that because I know that he sent out a article stating that things changed. So I'll go ahead and double up on that. Use coupon code 509 Divine Pines at Pepper MV LLC for all of your pepper seeds and extra goodies. She is a seed grower here from the local 509. You can find her on Instagram, Pepper Princess 509, and she will supply you with all the best hot peppers for your garden. Literally the hottest things that I've tried in a minute, and I love them. The taste is exquisite. Literally, she's so good at what she does. Also, go check out divinelightcodes.com and use coupon code 509 Divine Pines for 10% off your order for crystals, healing sessions, and a little bit of everything. And thank you all for being here. It's been a wonderful time. You guys have a wonderful night, wonderful weekend. I love you guys. You guys stay sharp, be blessed, and be high. See you next time.
Meditating, analyzing everything I see, so I see new horizons. Took the acid, feeling blasted in my brain, so I've been sitting up inside it, thinking about the present and the future. I'm improving cause I am a trooper, never getting caught up in the loop. Got up out it cause I found the truth. Woke up to a beauty of the day, the sun is shining, so I'm finna stay. Sitting, soaking up all of the rays, till I feel it surging through my brain like some booger sugar. Did a lot of cane, experimented with it, couldn't name all the times I did it, feeling like a fade. Yeah, I'm really glad that I let it go, cause I gotta be prepped for the time when the plane ride is a new norm. So I know I'm gonna stay high, blaze on the ganja, feeling like I make my music go to another level while I take off. I can't ever stop this, fell in love with it, fit like a glove, so I'm never ever done with it. So now I'm about to rip another beat, ayy. One day I'll make $1 million in a week, yeah, shooting for the top spot. Feel like I'm a hot shot, like I really got a chance with it. I will not flop, somebody gonna make a dance when I pop off. Gonna have all the bitches taking all the tops off. I've been feeling like I'm really gonna kill it for the rest of my life, so I've been staying focused. In my soul, I've been feeling like $1 million, so I know that everything is really getting closer. Yeah, no posers, only been hanging with the ones I've chosen. Only all the people that are living in the right way, cause they spending every day growing. Yeah, no whole shit coming in my life and then leaving in a moment. That's the shit I'll never let into my life again, cause lately I've been feeling like I'm golden. Never showboat, I just showcase on my music that I made this far. Always knew that I could be the one that would get this far. Now I'm right here looking in my mirror, trying to figure out if there's any more fear, cause I'm getting rid of it all, yeah, I'm getting rid of it all. Meditating, analyzing everything I see, so I see new horizons. Took the acid, feeling blasted in my brain, so I've been sitting up inside it, thinking about the present and the future. I'm improving cause I am